Destiny, Out of the Wild, a novella by J.A. Parry Bruce. Chapter 3. Feels like we've been walking the length of the atrium forever. My hip hurts. Pillow has a deer slung across his shoulders. We've scavenged what we could from the corpses. We've got makeshift sacks tied across our backs, full of guns, armour, cloth, strange devices, all looted from the bodies. We've got small trinkets from the rumour too. The forearm's damaged helmet hangs from an improvised hook at my belt. It's heavy and it stinks. Pillow said we should go and see where they came from. There might be more. But we'd be careful, sneak out and see if they've left anything else. While he talked, I searched the forearm. Found something. I can't get out of my head. It's a little blunt-ended star with an eye. The eye is dark, like the light above us. I put it in the pouch at the small of my back, under my coat. It looks dead, but I can feel its warmth. Just like the ward against my neck. Bullshit, I hear Leica say. Grass has grown up through the wide flagstone steps at the front of the building. The forest is nearby to one side. Other buildings line a wide street heading away from it. There are large chunks of fallen masonry all around. Gaping holes in the buildings, broken glass and twisted metal. Lots of hiding places. We don't see or hear any more of the things. Pillow finger signs, all clear. And we move forwards, down the wide steps leading to the street. I can't relax though. Feel the tension in the back of my neck. Senses strain for the slightest sound or sight. We've left the heavy deer and loot in the doorway of the Gene Cinch building. The same logo I saw on the glass is mounted above the doors. I wonder what this place was. Slowly we sweep the area. I find nothing apart from a bone, dark red matter clinging to it still. My first thought is animal, but after what I've seen, I'm not sure anymore. Pillow has moved away from me, into the mouth of a dark alley next to the building. He's close to the ground. I hear a bird. Begin to relax a little. The sun is going down. The sky is turning pink. The clouds look like they're being lit by great fires underneath. I feel my mind drift a little. We fired first. Maybe they wouldn't have hurt us if we hadn't. We did fire first. Why did we fire first? Fear? I hear a soft click over by the alley. My mind snaps back to the present. Pillow clicks his tongue again. He's looking in my direction. Finger signing, come. He's crouched by a small pile of strange objects in a net. Heavy-duty webbing is attached to it to make handles or shoulder straps. Pillow gently opens the neck of the net, feels for signs of a trap. Nothing. He moves some of the objects around. There are broken bits of star-shaped eyes, like the one I have in my pouch. There are other things too. They look like weapon parts. Finely tooled mechanisms, springs, old electronic lights, and strange scopes. Some things I don't recognize. They look old, but more advanced than anything I've ever seen in the underground. There might be more at home in the beautiful room. Pillow closes up the net, moves deeper into the alley. I bound his cut myself, wrapped some bind leaf around it that I brought with me from the hunter camp, and covered it with rough bandages. I'm no healer, but it looked good. The bandages are dirty already, but no blood is showing through. We'll probably need to stitch it when we get back. I see he's using it sparingly, holding it close while he combs the ground with his other hand. He stops, his hand against something else. He examines it, beckons me closer. It's a strange machine, no sharp angles, bulbous. There are switches and a display, but it's dark. Pillow tries to lift it, but it's too heavy. I try to help, but it's no good. We'll need to leave it for now. The ward at my neck burns. Bullshit. and I feel that star eye press into my back. I don't find it hard to walk away. We searched the area until almost all the sun was beneath the horizon. A shallow dome of brilliant light threw beams through the ruins of the old city. Dust danced in the light between the shadows, made it glimmer. We didn't find anything else. Went back to Gene Cinch and picked up our gear, carrying the net and all the broken up pieces together. Made our way back to the camp. Went slow. Pilo with the deer, me with the net, both with bags of loot. We didn't speak, though I thought about it. I watched him often. I think we're closer now. I don't know what that means. I cried 19 times. I hope he didn't see. The hunter camps move often. We never stay in one place for long. The game moves, so we move. There are 7 groups of hunters and we share over 20 hunting spots. Stations we call them. Rotating on some schedule that only Lycus and the group leaders seem to understand. We've already moved once since I've been with them. Each spot is different. Our group, Lycus's group, is currently camped amongst a cluster of low ruins. Roofs are only a floor or 2 high, 3 at the most. Houses, I think. They seem like houses. Our group is called the White Mane. Something to do with Lycus's name, or a name he had, once or something. There are 9 of us. 9 is a good number. Bullshit. It's just another number. Pilo and Ryman are the only 2 with apprentices, me and a boy from Angel. He's older than I am, but I hear Ryman muttering about him in an impatient tone. I never hear Pilo mutter, though I worry that he does. We got back before midnight. Every camp has a few markers at its perimeter to identify it. We passed red and blue flags, strips of cloth torn from old clothes, tied to stakes, and slithered down a shallow hill to a blue and white marker, Lycus's sign, near one of the 2-story buildings. Each camp has a fire pit and some basic cots tucked away in the corner. You can't see the light from outside. A watcher whistled somewhere in the rooftops, a rising trill. Warning. Pilo answered with a mournful note and a click of his tongue. Safe. Friends. Lycus was out hunting with Liam, so we brought our finds inside to wait. Buras hands us both a bowl of stew, thin broth, mainly vegetables grown in a few of the hunting spots with sparse strips of old preserved meat. We rarely eat what we bring back. If we do, we butcher it properly, preserve the meat, use every part, make it last. Sometimes we'll get gifts back from the underground. Jenna was given some bread last time she made a drop-off. They've built new ovens in Holborn. Buras shoves a chunk into my hand. There isn't much left. No one has asked about the stuff we brought with us. We've left them in an alcove where we store our gear. The deer has been hung in another room with some other kills. 4 rabbits, a few large birds, another deer. The others know better than to ask Pilo about the bag and the net. He'll wait for Lycus. He'll have questions. The others will hear the answers then too. No one will ask me. I spoon stew into my mouth. It tastes good. Buras cooks more than any of us, though we're supposed to take turns. He likes it. He's got a supply of salt tucked away at each station. So he says. He'll leave tiny packets of it for the other groups. They'll leave herbs, mushrooms, vegetables, as a thank you. We rarely have to hunt anything but meat. If someone else finds his salt, our meals will get far less interesting. The bread is stale now, but it soaks up the broth. I smack my lips. Pilo looks over at me and smiles. He looks away before I can smile back. We eat in silence. Pilo scrapes his bowl with a crust that he's saved, tucks the crust into his cheek, sighs quietly. I realize I'm watching him again, look down at my bowl instead. I'm so hungry I swipe the dregs of broth from the sides and bottom of the bowl with my finger. Buras has watched us over his shoulder, takes Pilo's bowl and mine, spoons a little more stew into each. Look like you've earned it, he says, eyes darting to Pilo's arm, my leg. I've picked up a slight limp, probably during the fight. I don't remember. Viras's voice is deep and gravelly. He looks older than Lycus. He hands out our bowls. I nod my thanks and he winks at me. Pilo eats fast, whipping his spoon into his mouth, scraping it around the bowl. He raises his chin in my direction. Viras is watching us. I eat fast too, no time to save the little wisps of meat and chunks of vegetable. We hand back our bowls and Viras grins. Not really supposed to do that. Pilo takes his hand, shakes it. I put my hand on Viras's arm, smile at him. Thanks, I whisper. He nods. Pilo leads us back through the storeroom. Our bags and the net lie on the floor, untouched, and into the little workshop at the back of the station. On the walls, pieces of gear hung on hooks. There's a stand at the back, clothes and bits of armour dangle from its pegs. A rack of weapons sits next to it. Our rifles are on it. We pick them up and clean them. Not a full breakdown, just swabbing the barrel, cleaning off the bolt and checking over the action. Cleaning my rifle means I'm not thinking. Haven't let myself think the entire time we've been back. We clean up the benches once we're done. I place my rifle back on the rack and begin sharpening my knife. I cleaned it quickly back in Jean's cinch, but there is still some dried blood and matter on the blade. Something is caught in the guard. Something grey and fleshy. I try to pry it out with my finger and it gets caught under my nail. I flick my hand suddenly, frantically. I don't want it on me. I don't want it on me. I shake harder, slam the back of my hand into the bench. I drop the knife and clutch my hand to my breast, start swearing. Hot tears sting the corners of my eyes. Pilo bends, picks up the knife. He's just a blurry outline now. The tears are filling my eyes. They well and spill, and I feel ashamed all over again. Why am I crying? What is wrong with me? I've killed before. A couple of deer, some birds and a rabbit or two. Every one a life taken. I'm no stranger to it. It can't be that. I shudder and choke on sobs that seem to block my throat. I'm being too loud. I think everyone will hear. It can't be that. The act of killing? Then what? Because they looked a little like us? Like humans? No. If a human attacked me, I'd defend myself. Because we fired first then? Because we were the attackers? Maybe. Uncertain. They might have killed us without a second's hesitation anyway. Even if we hadn't shot at them, something in the back of my mind tells me I'm right. I try to remember the fight. They chased us, sounded angry, had their weapons drawn already, ready to fight, ready to kill. We ran, hid. They came in, we fired. Did it take them long to shoot back? Were they firing anyway? Strange blue light. Alien sounds. Fear. That's it. I'm afraid. Of them? My first hunt, I felt a sort of general fear. Unfocused. Kind of misty. Wanted to run or fight or something. Back in that room, just a table and a rifle in between me and death. I felt nothing. Just a need to survive. I fired. Reloaded. Fired. Killed. I don't remember fear, not then. Afterwards, I cried. Held Pilo. Was it the adrenaline? The emotion I kept bottled up while we fought? I don't think so. I think it was fear then too, but not fear of the creatures. They were dead, couldn't hurt us anymore. What's to be afraid of in a corpse? Nothing. So why was I afraid? There's a sudden flash of insight, though it doesn't feel like mine. You're afraid of yourself. I am? You don't know what you can do until you have to do it. I found out I can kill today. Not just animals, not just defenseless beasts for food or clothes or tools. I can kill thinking, feeling people too. Is that me? Who are you? I'm not sure I even knew. Maybe this is me. This is me now. Maybe I'm not who I was. Maybe this is who I've got to be. The tears are drying up. Maybe I need to be this. I sense Pilo close by. Maybe they need me to be this. His hand is out in front of him, reaching to me. I take it, he pulls me close. I fall into him, stay there. I don't know how long for, but my cheeks are dry when he pulls us apart gently, leads me into one of the sleeping rooms. He helps me onto a cot, strokes my hair. I lay on my side facing him, try to smile. He looks like he wants to say something, doesn't. He sits cross-legged on the floor next to me, holds my hand. All of a sudden, I'm tired. Eyes feel heavy. Breathing slow. He pulls a thin blanket over me. I close my eyes, feel the warmth of his hand. His breath stirs my hair. He mutters something. Fallen. I hear they're called the Fallen. I fall asleep. An interlude in dreams. Darkness surrounds me and consumes me. I can feel it oppressive, cloying, squeezing, fills me up, and I choke on it. But I'm still alive, and it won't let me die, and it won't let go. I can't shake it off. Raise my fists and tear at my face, but all is darkness. And I can't see my fingers. I feel the blood swelling and growing, bursting out of deep wounds, and the blood is darkness. But I see something in the distance, something tiny, something real. I feel the spark of life in the distance, and the life is a light, gentle, comforting, yielding, and it grows and grows and surrounds me and covers the darkness, but the darkness is strong. I feel the battle raging and I am torn apart. The light puts me back together, but there are deep cracks, wounds, and darkness lurks behind the fragile joins. The light wraps itself around me and keeps me warm, and I see everything. A ball of colour and beauty and life, and death and decay and horror. And the darkness gnaws at my gut, and I want to feed it. And I eat the light, and it fills me and flows through me, and I see my fingers and push them into the wounds and pull out the darkness. And the light consumes it, and I rise guided by the light, up, 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 into the colour, but inside me, right inside, further than skin and muscle and bone and touch and smell and thought. There is a cold, hard ball, no bigger than the first happening of the first quark of the first atom of the first universe. And it is the darkness, and the darkness grows, and the darkness surrounds me. Chapter 4. Raised voices wake me up. Sweat soaks my clothes. I'm cold. I grab the blanket and pull it around me. I hear Lycus's low tone. You're sure there weren't more? We swept the immediate area. No sign of any others. Pilo. Tracks led to the building, not away from it. I cross the room, open the door. I don't try to be quiet. Wish Pilo had woken me when Lycus returned. They both looked over at me. Pilo nods and I nod back. A smile twitches the corners of my mouth. Lycus doesn't waste time, crosses to me, pushes me into a seat between them. The small space has been arranged like our living area back in the underground. A low table, several mismatched chairs, and repurposed boxes around it. Battered steel boxes are stacked in the corners of the room. Supplies. 2 doors lead off to the sleeping rooms, the one I came from and the other on the wall to my right. The 3rd door leads back into the main room where I hear Buras cooking up some more stew for the new arrivals. I hear Seb's voice. He's made a kill too, a rabbit. Ramen grunts at his youthful excitement. Sebastian's older than me, but I don't feel young anymore. I look down, see the bags and the net on the floor between the 2 men. They're both open. I see the forearms helmet on another chair. Lycus has something in his hand. I can't see what it is. You alright? I'm surprised by Lycus's question. He's never before asked that of anyone, not that I've heard. Am I? I nod slowly. Okay, he says. What did you see? I look across at Pilo. Surely he's explained already. He raises an eyebrow, lifts his chin towards me, finger signs. Go on. 5 of them, I say. My voice is quiet, timid. 4 with 2 arms, 1 with 4. I stop for a second, watch Lycus. His face is blank. Had weapons, but not ones I recognized. Handguns. Forearm had a big weapon, like a shotgun, but big. I stretched out my arms, indicating the size of the weapon. It was too heavy for us to carry, with everything else, so we left it at Gene Cinch. Weird bullets, like balls of fire. I can't believe I'm saying this. It sounds ridiculous. I know it happened, but I can't shake the feeling that I must be making it up. I go to speak again, falter. Okay. Lycus raises his hand. Tell me what happened. Pilo looks at his feet. I tell Lycus about the deer. I tell him about the climb and the atrium, about the scream. I stutter again, but will myself to carry on. We fired first, I say, hoping I realize for a response. Lycus doesn't move, just blinks once or twice. I tell him about the brief fight. Thinking back now, it couldn't have lasted longer than a few seconds. 10 at most, but it takes me almost a minute to put it together for him. Then, when they were, I stop. The word catches in my throat. I swallow, but it's still there. I breathe slowly, force it out. When they were dead, we checked the hallway to make sure there weren't more. There weren't. We went over the corpses, scavenged what we could, brought some of their weapons back, all of the armour, some cloth. They had knives, so we grabbed them. Weird machine parts too. Everything. I searched the forearm, found something else. Lycus nods at me to carry on. I don't know what it is. I kept it in my pouch. Like a little star, it was. I don't know why I'm telling him this. It felt warm. Lycus turns his back to me. We found more. I raise my voice a little. Broken ones. In the net they left outside. Pieces. I look across at Pilo, but he's watching Lycus. The old hunter is turning something over in his hands. He's holding the star. I know it. Of all the things we found, he wants to know about that? Why? Anything else? Lycus's voice is quieter now distant. There was a machine. Something. It was roundish, about this high. I gesture with my hand, but Lycus still has his back to me. About 3 feet high. It had a screen. We couldn't make it work. Couldn't lift it, just the two of us. Could you find it again? Yes. The trail was pretty easy to follow. Through the old city, outside of the centre, about 10 miles from the river. I'd know the building when I saw it, right next to the forest, its neighbour leaning up against it. Pilo, Lycus's voice is almost a whisper. Go and tell the others to pack up and get ready to move. We're going together. Pilo hesitates for a moment. Where? He asks. Back, I think. To find your machine. Then we have to go into the underground, the circus. Pilo nods and goes to find the rest of the hunters. Lycus follows him to the door, shuts it. Now it's just him and me. He sits down in the chair opposite mine. He's playing with the star, turning it over and over in his hands. He grunts, almost a laugh, holds out the star to me. Do you know what this is? How would I know? I shake my head. I've not seen one of these in a long, long time. I was a different person then. He looks at me. It's not a glance. It's like he knows how I'm feeling. Maybe he does. That's not a happy thought. Lycus gets up, starts pacing. It's called a ghost, he says. They're machines, helpers, menders, searchers, little gods. He tosses a star, the ghost, into the air and snatches it back to his chest. He cradles it, strokes it. Mine found me, long time ago, brought me back. Back from where, I think? Here? Usually they find you, but this time you found it. He holds it out again, motions for me to take it. I can see his eyes sparkling. He's excited. It's dead, I say. Taken the ghost. Fitting name, I think. What do you mean, he asks. Sounds like Gamma. I get the feeling I'm about to be taught something. It's dead, I repeat. It doesn't work. Lycus tilts his head on the one side. How do you know that? The front. I point to the little eye. Looks like it should light up. The light's gone out. While I'm talking, I realise that I don't know how I know all of that. It seemed logical to assume that the eye was the front. The back of the ball is blank, apart from a small slot, and I'd seen things light up before if they worked. Similar little electrical toys all had a light on them. The ghost looked like it should light up. No light means dead, Lycus interrupts my train of thought. Almost exactly the words I was going to use. I shrink back into my chair a little. Can he read minds? No. Who is he? You're right, of course. He sits down in the box next to me. This little ghost has almost no light left. Almost. Light? I think? What has light got to do with anything? Looks like it needs a good current running through it. I turn it over and over in my hands. It begins to feel warm again. It's been damaged, this ghost. The shell is pitted and scarred. Slivers of dull grey paint have chipped off, revealing a shiny metal beneath. The 8 points, flat topped, like the end of a flared prism, surround the eyeball. There's a lens at the front. 2 chevrons and a circle between them makes the eye. I feel the heat of it rising. Suddenly I remember the first time I went overground, the sun peeking from behind a thick cloud, that immediate warmth flowing over me. Happiness. That's how the ghost feels. Like a memory of sunlight. Lycus has been watching me. He's not moved. I hold the ghost in both hands. I want to protect it. Can we make it work? I sound like a child, I think. This isn't a broken toy. It's something else, something real. Lycus tilts his head from side to side. I think so. He puts a hand on my arm. He's not wearing any gloves. His hand is covered with hair-fine scars. There's an angry old burn mark below his little finger. We'll need to go and see a friend of mine, back in the underground. He looks at me in the eyes. Suddenly, I'm not afraid of him. I feel something of the ghost's warmth in his touch. Realise it's the same thing I felt from the first time he touched me, brushing his fingers across my hands. Are you okay? No, I say. I don't know what happened, what those things were. Why did we kill them? Pilo knew, I think. He knew what they were called. He's seen them before. They're not from our planet. Lycus' voice is gentle and quiet. They're called the Fallen. They would have killed you. You and Pilo did the right thing, firing first. How did I not know about them? Because no one in the underground knows. He hesitates. We don't tell people in the underground about them. Can you imagine what would happen? Panic doesn't even begin to describe it. Sure, there are stories. The older ones remember their grandparents telling them about monsters on the surface, the battles, the fires, but that's all they are to them. The Fallen are just monsters in stories. It's safer that way. Pilo knew what they were. He did. Lycus pauses, remembering. He surprised a group of them on his first hunt. They nearly killed him. I had to step in, saved his life. He's not proud. It was necessary for him to save Pilo, to kill the Fallen. He's done it before. They're scavengers, pirates, been here for hundreds of years. They followed the Traveller. That old myth, I think? But Lycus sounds sincere. They wanted to get it back. They're jealous of humanity, of the Traveller's light. The Traveller's real? I ask. Gamma used to tell stories her grandmother told her, about a bright white ball that came one day full of magic and lies. It made the people love it, gave them gifts, made them stronger. Then, when a great darkness fell over the world, and all was ruin and calamity, it failed to protect us, as we thought it would. And humanity never recovered. I'm disgusted by the thought of it. It seems so wrong for something like that to actually exist. Lycus must see it in my face. Just like your father, He smiles and shakes his head. The traveller is real, but it isn't what you think. He holds up a hand to silence my reply. No. You've heard old stories, bitter tales, jealous lies. The traveller is good. He pauses again, looks down at the floor, then at the ghost in my hands. It has to be. It made the ghosts. The ghost made the guardians. The guardians protect the city, the world, all of us. He was going to say you. I know the thought is true. I don't know how. You might even see it one day, he smiles. It's forced. He raises his hood, hiding his eyes. Enough. We have to go. Lycus pats my knee. The heat is gone now. He stands up and stretches out his back. You did the right thing. You must protect your light, he says over his shoulder. We'll leave when you're ready. He leaves me here, the ghost in my hands, wondering what is happening to me. Ghosts, the fallen, the traveller, light, just like your father. The world doesn't feel real anymore.